Hey, it's Jake Vantine here. It's January 17th, 2020, and I just wanted to make this video because the topic is basically quitting. Um, Earlier today, I went for a nice 3 mile run, then I went for a swim. I've got a 4 day weekend, and as I was coming back and just relaxing, I got a phone call. Actually, I was coming out of the shower. I got a phone call from my ex-wife, the mother of my 3 children. And she told me that, she was having some troubles with Jake Jr., who is our middle child. He's 12 years old, and the issue is he was contemplating quitting wrestling. And, wrestling is a very tough sport. So let me tell you how I relate to this, and let me tell you my story about wrestling and how I got started being a 4 year varsity wrestler. So, my freshman year in high school, I was really strong. My wrestling coach, Kemble Motter, a very influential, charismatic man, found out how strong I was and found out that my older sister was dating a very good wrestler that he had in the past. So he found out that I benched 315 pounds my first time ever touching a free weight. Um, I'm only 14 years old. He found out how strong I was. He comes up to me, literally grabs me by the chin, and he's like this far away from me and says, "You're coming out for wrestling." Didn't really give me a choice. He said, "You'll be the strongest freshman wrestler I've ever had." So I started wrestling, but I didn't like it. It was really hard. I was getting my ass kicked. And to tell you the truth, my heart wasn't really in it. So basically what happened, I started missing practices. And then my assistant coach pinned me down one day at a study hall. He said, "You're either on the team or you're not," right? It's towards the end of the season, wasn't much time left. And the night before, or that night after he kind of gathered me and asked me to let me know if I was on the team or not, I prayed, and I didn't really know who I was praying for or what I was praying for. It had nothing to do with the conversation. I just said, "God, give me a sign of some sort." Didn't really even ask for what specifically. So towards the end of the day, the next day, I'm walking to go to the bus to go home and not go to wrestling practice like I had done for the rest of the week. And something made me feel like, okay, I'll go to wrestling practice. Well, on my way into wrestling practice, what happened was they started chattering about something. They said, "Oh, okay, blah, blah, blah." The person that wrestled my weight class, which was 171 pounds, he actually quit the team that day, right? And they didn't have a practice, they had a meet. So me just thinking I was going to a practice ended up me going to a meet. Then I got called into the coach's office and told that the person that was wrestling my weight class had quit and they had no one to wrestle that weight class, and that they were thinking of having me wrestle varsity to fill the spot. Now, literally, I was about to quit the team, and now I'm in a position where I'm being asked to suit up to go wrestle varsity in an away meet. So I'm like, holy cow, right? I'm about to quit the team, and I'm like, whoa. I was like, "God, this is not what I meant," right? So I get to the other school, and the coach comes in. Kemble comes in. He says, "You know what? I think you can beat this kid because you're so strong." I said, "Okay." So then I go out there, and I'm really out of shape. I'm losing my wind. I fall behind. I'm losing the match. I'm about to get pinned the last few seconds of the match. But before this happens, I get my eye gouged in the middle of the match, which gets Coach Kemble Motter infuriated. He's like yelling. He's like, "It should be a penalty." He gouged him in the eye. He's animated. The crowd started going crazy. They're roaring because they didn't. This kid was like, anybody who wrestles varsity is a pretty good wrestler, but this kid hadn't won all too many matches, so they're all like super stoked that this guy's winning. My guys are like, "Hey, he's gouged him in the eye." So my side is going crazy. The other team side is going crazy. It's a close meet, so my match actually is important for the overall team score. So it gets intense. So literally, there's a few seconds left in the match. I look up with like my one eye that's good at the scoreboard, and I'm down by like 5 points. I'm about to get pinned. I literally come from my back, lift this kid up into the air, and put him on his back, getting like 2 points for reversal, 3 back points. And I ended up winning the match by like 1 point somehow, uh, like the last seconds of the match. And then everybody went crazy. And basically, I was part of varsity wrestling ever since. I was like a hero. I went from a zero to a hero overnight. Then I got a couple forfeits, and I won 3 more matches. I went into the Mid Hudson Athletic League, 5-0 or 6-0, and I was the number 2 seed, and I made it to the finals and lost in the finals. So I took second in the league my freshman year, and then I wrestled 4 year varsity after that, and I became captain of the football and wrestling teams, and then I was 3-time league champion. So anyway, that's my story. So what happened was I'm going to be talking to my son later tonight. Basically, the situation is he's kind of self-sabotaging and not going to practices, so he's not qualifying to actually compete. And it could be several things. I mean, wrestling is a really, really tough sport. So here's the bottom line. This is what I'm going to tell him. I called my wrestling coach, called Kemble, before I talked to my son this evening. I said, hey, coach, I just want to get your insights on what would you say? What do you think I should say? I kind of had my own idea. And he says, well, tell him he's got to do it for 2 years, because that first year you're going to lose, you're going to learn a lot, and you need to